So first off, the type of muscular dystrophy that I'm going to present about is called Limb-Girdle Muscular Dystrophy 2C. There's actually many different kinds, so this is one specific type of muscular dystrophy. Like all muscular dystrophies, it causes weakness in the muscles. So for this type, it's especially in the arms and legs. So it affects people's walking in the early stage, makes it harder to walk and move around. And in later stages, it can even require people to be in a wheelchair and sometimes causes breathing problems. So in the picture you see over here, on the right side, we've got an affected muscle. It's basically smaller. And then on the left side, that's a typical muscle. The frequency is a little tricky to estimate because there's a lot of overlap in the different muscular dystrophies, and some of them are tricky to diagnose. So it's estimated it's about 1 in 100,000 people that are affected. All right, so my next slide, I'm going to get into the genetic cause of this condition. It's called the SGCG gene, which is on the 13th chromosome. And what this gene does, it makes a protein complex or part of a protein complex called sarcoglycan. And the function of sarcoglycan, this protein, helps maintain muscle structure. You can see a picture of it there. So basically, when you have a mutation in this gene, you're not making the sarcoglycan protein correctly, so your muscles don't have the same amount of structure or strength. All right, next slide's about inheritance, how it's passed down from parents to offspring. It's a recessive genetic disorder, autosomal recessive inheritance. So the way that it would be passed on, both parents need to be a carrier, so they both would need to have the mutated gene, and only an offspring that got that mutated gene from both parents would be affected. So you can see the big M is the dominant, little m would be the recessive. So the only one that's affected is the one that gets the recessive gene, recessive allele from both parents. All right, lastly, an organization I want to lift up that is working on this genetic condition is the Dion Foundation. It's actually a family that I know. My wife works with Joe Dion, the father that you see in the picture there. And two of their kids have actually recently been diagnosed with this kind of muscular dystrophy, and they're just in the early stages having trouble with their muscles starting to affect them. So they've started a foundation called the Dion Children Foundation for Rare Disease, and their goal is to try to increase awareness and ultimately get better scientific research. There's not a lot of scientific research out for some of these rare genetic conditions, and things like gene therapies. There's possible things that could make a big difference. So they're trying to raise awareness and funding to support that kind of research and fast track some therapies to help people. So if you want to learn more, go to thedionfund.org, and that's my presentation.